I've heard some people say that the current move of the Spirit of God hasn't really resulted in a lot of church growth. But I feel there are things we can do as leaders to channel the move of the Spirit of God so that it does result in evangelism and missions and church growth. For example, I was ministering in a fairly large church one time, and lots of people were being touched by the Holy Spirit. They were falling under the power of God, they were crying, they were laughing in the Spirit, they were becoming drunk in the Spirit. That particular meeting lasted for 12 days, and it was the fulfillment of a prophecy that the pastor had been given nearly a year before, that he would see an outpouring of the Spirit of God in his church before the end of that year. And this was about November when God began to move in the meetings. Well, after that meeting, before we dismissed the people, I went up to some of the people and I asked them, why were you laughing? Why were you crying? What was your experience? And I interviewed them. And one lady said to me, she said, the reason why I was laughing is because when I fell to the ground, I had a vision that Jesus came and took out my old stony heart and he put in a new heart, and the new heart was a heart that had a burden for lost souls. And then I asked another young man, what was your experience? He said, well, the reason I was laughing is because I had a vision of myself whilst I was on the ground, a vision of myself that I went back to my home village with a team from our church and we shared the gospel. And I said, that's great, brother, when are you planning to go? And he looked at me a little bit funny. He says, oh, I don't know, I don't actually have a plan, I'm just telling you what happened to me and why I was laughing. I said, no, brother, God didn't give you that vision just to make you laugh. He gave you that vision because he wants you to do it. So I said, what I want you to do is go and talk to your pastor and sit down with your pastor and make a definite plan to actually arrange a team and go back to your home village and preach the gospel. Well, about 3 months later I visited that church again and I found this particular brother and I asked him, whatever happened about that vision you had, did you do it? And he had a big smile, his whole face lit up. He said, yes, we took a team from our church, we were away about a week. I said, what happened? He said, lots and lots of people came to Jesus, and his whole face was smiling. See, it's one thing for people to experience the move of God and the touch of the Holy Spirit, but so often I've noticed that churches that do allow a move of the Holy Spirit during their altar call time, that the music is playing loud and the congregation doesn't really get to hear what God has been doing in the hearts of the people who have responded to receive prayer. But if, as pastors and leaders, we get involved with what God has done, ask people, what has God done? Has he given you a vision? And then with pastoral wisdom and care, we can help the people put wheels to the vision that God has given them, and it will result in real evangelism, real church growth. But this time it will be evangelistic work that was inspired through a God-given vision. It will be something that was birthed through a fresh touch of the Holy Spirit rather than through a planning meeting.